Hey, what's going on, people? We've got another fun episode of Business Growth Time. It's kind of cool. We're doing back-to-back mano y mano shows. We haven't done that for a while. We've had a lot of guests. Last episode, we talked about Janet's new, it's not even new, but her coaching program to help you explode your Facebook and Instagram ads. Today, we're going to talk about a concept that I've been preaching for the last 8 years or so called Lead from Where You Are, Lessons in Everyday Leadership. So let's say hi to Janet E. Johnson, where today the E's definitely standing for every day, because why wouldn't it at
Ooh,
that point? And
wow.
Janet getting it done every
You've
day,
had some
Johnson.
caffeine this morning, huh?
I'm jacked up. That's all I can tell you. No, it's you know what it's I don't drink coffee as a rule, right? I'm
Oh,
not a coffee guy. I haven't been a coffee guy forever. We went to Mexico in May and they had the hotel. My wife's like, "You have to try this. Their coffee's ridiculous." And I'm like, "You're telling me to drink coffee?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right." And it was so good. So good. And then she
hmm.
found this dark chocolate syrup that you mix into your coffee. And so now it's like a little mini mocha action going on, and that's right in my
You don't do
wheelhouse.
so no creamer, but chocolate.
Well, chocolate. I think there's a hint of coffee mate creamer in there too,
Okay,
right?
okay.
And so, but
I'm just straight
it's
up with the creamer and the coffee. Yeah, that's interesting. But I didn't have, I never had any caffeine, nor did I need it, which is sad, all the way up until I had babies.
oh yeah,
So as soon as I had babies, I got addicted to having coffee every morning. And now if I had to give up wine or coffee, I would give up the wine over coffee. So
really?
I want
That's
my
an interesting.
I want my coffee in the morning. But yeah, so it's
I,
one crutch. But
yeah,
what do you do?
I drink maybe a couple a week. No, and most times I'm just a water guy most of the day. But
Hmm.
and then she ended up buying a bunch of pop again. So now in Detroit it's pop, over there it's soda.
We're
But
pop.
yeah.
We're
Oh,
pop. Yeah.
are we
Yeah.
pop?
But other
Okay.
people, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So whatever the point. I'm a pepper. So in case anyone wants to
Ah,
know.
and I don't touch pop.
Yeah.
P-O-P, I don't touch it. So
Yeah.
that's
You're saving
funny.
yourself. You're saving
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. So there
I
you
like
go.
that.
Coffee is my crutch. Yeah, that's funny. Pop.
Yeah.
Well,
So
good. Well, let's talk today about you've been speaking for people, well, for audiences a lot, and it was a lot more before COVID, and now you're starting to pick up that speaking side of your business again, which
it's
is
coming
great because
back.
I think you're a great speaker. I mean, Terry can just come up with things like this, and I have to think way harder about it. So I think this is great that you're speaking. It sounds like you have a specific topic that you've been talking about with your audiences that you keep getting asked again and again to speak about. So we're going to
Wow.
cover today a little bit about, we're just going to touch on what that topic is. And then, maybe we're speaking to the right people that will want to reach out to you and bring you in to speak to their group of people. So let's get into it.
Wouldn't that be exceptional? All right, so super
Oh, we're
excited
doing the
about
E
it.
word still,
Yeah,
huh?
we're on it. We're on it today. I don't know. They're just flowing, man. So yeah, 8 years ago, it was 2014. I got asked by the state of Michigan, one of the departments there, to build a leadership talk. And so I talked to them and I said, who's in the department? What are we talking about? What's the problem? And they said, we've got a bunch of people, but nobody's taking ownership, right? Nobody's really stepping up. And I said, well, that's an empowerment issue. And I said that literally, not just because it's an E word. And I said, so what we really need to do is create a talk around the idea that empowers people to step up into that role of leader, whether it's for an individual project or it's because they're getting promoted into a different role. And so they're like, oh my God, I love that. So build that out. So I did. And I used that talk. It's funny, you sell something once. And if you're really fortunate, you get to use the same content again and again. So I've delivered this talk probably 7 or 8 times, maybe 10. Um, but in the last month, I've had 3 different people hire me to give it, and one where I said I've got a presentation next month, so I've got this. I've got this podcast that I'm doing. And the guy's like, what do you want to talk about? I said, I need to revamp the deck. So let's talk about lead from where you are. It'll force me to get the deck into a 2022 look. And so that'll work. So I'm not going to go through the entire talk as Janet just said, but I will share a few things. So at the highest level, this is the agenda and kind of what we're going to go through today, right? You know, for me, anytime you get into a presentation, especially if it's a concept that maybe not everybody understands, we have to create mutual meaning, mutual understanding. So I'm going to start it off with a John Maxwell quote, right? There's no greater leadership leader on the planet today than Pastor John Maxwell. I don't know if a lot of people know that. He's got a very strong background and led church groups for a long time. So we're gonna dive right into a quote of his and get on. But the contention, Janet, is leadership isn't really a role, right? If you go look through an organizational chart, there's no title that says leader, right? People step into leadership roles. And my big idea is right now, the world is incredibly short on leaders, right? And yet we all have the skills, we all have the abilities to lead. So this talk's going to refine some of our skills, some of our thinking, and really position us to be in that role. So let's start there. What do you think when you hear the word leader? What do you think?
You think of like you're a boss sometimes. I mean, not that I work, but just, somebody that's above you possibly.
Hmm.
Could be, or if you're above them, if you're the leader, that kind of thing. And also just, I also look at leader as, if you look at animals as well, like there's the sheep and the rhinos. I always love to use this analogy. Like, I believe a leader is the rhino that just kind of goes his own way, but still has his pack with him. So, like a lion would be a leader, for instance, because
That's interesting.
so
That
there's a lot of things with leader. I mean, you could define it. So actual definition, I don't know, but those are just some analogies.
you know what? I don't pay enough attention to rhinos, and I'm surprised you didn't break out flamingos, right? If we're talking animals, right?
I love the film. Yeah, compared to pigeons,
Yeah,
exactly. They
yeah,
they they do their own thing.
that's it. That's it. So that's very, very cool. One of John Maxwell's maxims is a leader is someone who knows the way and shows the way.
Shows the way. I like that.
Shows the way.
Hmm.
And so, the second bullet point here talks about it starts with you, right? And to me, like the relationship we have to ourself, right? Whether it's our essence, our core, our being, whatever, our higher self, doesn't matter what you want to call it or how you want to name it. But that relationship to self is the most important relationship we have. So it always kind of starts with who we are and who we believe we are and how we want to be perceived. So the getting an understanding and a belief system around that is important to me. And then I go into the 6 types of leadership. And I'm going to
I have a
actually
question for
show
you
that
back on
slide.
that.
Yeah.
Is it more, so you're kind of saying it's more mindset than, like, if you feel like you're a follower, you're a follower. If you feel like you're a leader, you become that leader. Okay.
Absolutely, right? It'd be everything, all of it, whether you're successful in business, whether you're successful in your personal relationships, whether you're successful with your kids, all begins and ends in the 7 inches between our ears, right? That's just it. And so I think it's such an important element. So the idea is to empower people to believe that they have the skills, right? The confidence that they are in leadership, whether they're actually leaders today or not, because we need to groom future leaders too. So there's 6 types of leaders. I'll show you the slide on that in a minute. And then the rest of it's just ways to get better at leading, right? You've got to ask better questions. You've got to dig in a little bit deeper. Too often we're surface. And I've argued with myself forever, which is more important, asking good questions or actually listening to the answers? I still haven't come up with an answer. What do you think is more important?
Oof. Well, it is listening. It is listening for sure. But you kind of have to ask the good questions to get those answers to, and then you better be listening to them.
That's right. And I agree. And the challenge is most people ask lousy questions and don't listen.
Yeah,
Right.
don't
So
listen.
you got two negatives right there. So if we can improve you in those spaces, then life will be better. And then how to improve your messaging, right? Because we live in a world right now where we're so soundbite and headline focused that you'd better learn how to communicate in the language of people. And if it's sound bites and headlines, then get really good at creating those things. So what does that actually mean? We talked about this in the last episode, right? You talk about testing when you're doing ads. Well, getting feedback from the people you're talking to is how we test our messaging. Hey, did you understand the way I presented this? Because so often communication breaks down because we think we said a thing or we think we heard a thing, but there's no check, there's no feedback loop to see whether or not what was sent and what was received are the same thing. So it's an important element. So that's what feedback is.
It's
How do you
very,
get
very important to get the feedback on anything you do. It's hard sometimes.
it is, right? That's part of the reason asking better questions is important. All
Hmm.
right. And then listening to the answer is important.
Even if you
Uh,
don't want to hear it. Like, I mean, unless they're your husband or wife or something, but
that's for sure. That's for sure. And then one of the things that I talk about all the time is how do you understand personalities you deal with? Right. And so if you follow the DISC model, there's 4 different personality types. If you follow Myers-Briggs, there's 16 different personality types. And we have to interact with each of these folks. And the both of the models, if you're the polar opposite of the person you're communicating with, you'll drive each other nuts. And so it becomes important that you, as the communicator, as the leader, understand the people and then meet them where they are, right? So the assessment piece and in learning about personality types is really, really important. And then I always share the same closing thought in every single presentation I do. It's from on a lesson called Ho'oponopono, and I'll share that slide today too, because I think it's important. So I'm going to skip through the next couple of slides. There's John Maxwell. There's the know a little bit more about yourself. These are the 6 styles of leadership. And so as you look at these 6, I'm going to give you a hint. 2 of them are negative styles. 4 of them are considered positive.
ooh,
If you were to guess what 2 are considered negative,
commanding,
that's 1.
democratic. I don't know what affiliative means.
I didn't either until I wrote this presentation. So I'll tell you, it's not that.
Wait. We should give everybody commanding, affiliative, visionary, democratic, pace setting, and coaching.
Those are the 6,
So
yes.
if I knew what affiliative meant, I could maybe, but I'm assuming commanding's negative, and you guys guess, take a second to guess, but Terry needs to tell us what affiliative means.
All right. Affiliative is someone that seeks to bring harmony, right? That creates affiliations, right? So
Got it.
everybody's kind of heard. It's actually very similar in ways to democratic, but it's a little different approach, right? You're putting your arms around each other and really trying to get the best out of one another. Whereas democratic is literally the idea of I'm going to throw all of this on the table and we'll see the majority rules kind of thing. So
So
it
it's got to
just,
be Democratic, the other negative one then.
it's not actually. It's
Oh, pace
pace.
setting?
It's pace setting. Yeah.
Pace setting. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Explain pace setting then too.
So pace setting is the idea that you are leading by example, but because you're leading by example, it's really effective in quick sprint situations. Commanding is really effective in like a trauma situation where somebody needs to be decisive, needs to get shit done, and it needs to happen right now. And y'all be damned, this is how we're doing that. In that situation, commanding, when someone needs to step up, take charge, and deal with a problem, commanding can be very effective. Pace setting is, follow me and keep up, right? And so in the old days, pace setting was probably okay. In the old days, commanding was okay, right? We've all had well, I don't know about all, but lots of people have had managers who were pounding their fist on the table kind of people. This is how we're doing it. Get it done or get out. It doesn't work in 2022. I mean, it might for a few
No,
folks who
no.
need it, but most people are going to be like, safe space, need to go to my safe space now. And I'm not putting up with your crap because there's too many jobs out there. So pace setting and commanding have a negative connotation. Visionary is where someone kind of sets the vision and then enrolls people into following it. That to me is that's my favorite kind of leader. But and then obviously coaching someone that's really focused on grooming you for the future, right? So those are the 6 styles of leadership. And depending on what you read and where you look, there's 9 styles, there's 5 styles, right? But
Got
these
it.
were these were the most common. Everybody's got to, if you're a thought leader, you have to come up with your own unique mechanism, which is a word we used in our last show.
Yep.
Right. So kind of a nice little throwback. So those are the 6 styles. So we're gonna talk through those, and because I'm doing this on Zoom, I'm gonna let that question be a chat sort of thing. What do you think the 2 negatives are? So we can have some audience engagement. And this is fun because again, I literally put this together yesterday, haven't looked at it yet. So now's a good time to do that since I go live in 29 minutes.
That's
And
great.
that's the most Terry thing ever.
Yeah,
Um,
but you know what? It's all prepared, so it's perfect.
at least it's done. And I
Yep.
don't know if you caught this, but my lovely little logo in the lower
I
right hand
totally
corner.
caught that. He's got
I'm
his branding colors, he's got his logo. I know. It's just
ah,
pretty. I'm pretty proud of Terry's fanciness.
I know. Listen, thank you, Canva. Listen, that's all I could say. And you interviewed the lady who started Canva like a million years ago, right? That's so
Ah, isn't that
cool.
crazy? The very well before our podcast started. Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah, I can't remember the year. It's on YouTube still, so it's still out there, but she does not do interviews anymore. Yeah, it's
she
kind of crazy.
probably doesn't. No,
Doesn't
and
need to. And she would never do it with our little show.
she
She
did
was my
great
second
work.
interview on
That's
my
so
ever
fun.
podcasting, ever.
How did you just know
I just
her?
asked. I
Yeah.
just asked. I was in contact with somebody that gave me a bunch of free stuff with Canva, like a whole free credits, and I think I wrote a blog post about it, and they saw it, and so because I was way on board with Canva like early, and so they kind of saw that I was talking about them or something, and so I was in contact with a guy that worked for her, and I just asked him, and he's like, "Sure, she'd love to."
That's a
So,
gorgeous thing.
isn't that
That's
funny?
a gorgeous thing. So, I'm gonna breeze through the rest so I can get to that
Okay.
closing slide. Right. These are the 4 that are
Yeah.
positive. So we'll talk a little bit about that because people need a little more detail and little information. Talking about the asking better questions piece, the 3 types of listening that are important. Uh, you know, Making sure that your message is tight and concise and to the right people. Um, so it's this is a much better looking deck than what I have created in the past. Historically, my decks always had like a gorgeous image, a single thought, if I even put a thought on there. But it was always like, my idea was I can show you an image that and then anchor that image with the words I say. But it turns out, to earlier conversation, 70% of the population is a visual learner. So it's important to give people proper visuals. So consider these or those proper visuals. This is a lesson that I learned from a system called Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian mystic healing practice. And we were talking about The Secret, the movie and the book, before we jumped on here. And one of the teachers in The Secret's a guy named Dr. Joe Vitale. And he's a marketing expert, but he's also a new age. This doctorate is from some podunk online new age metaphysical school. But he had found a guy named Dr. Len out of Hawaii. And Dr. Len had been practicing Ho'oponopono for years. And the story goes that he was assigned to rehabilitate life sentence prisoners who were in a mental prison, not just a physical federal prison, but kind of in the crazy ward in the prison. And there were 23 of them, and his job was to rehab them. And he did this over the course of 18 months to 2 years by practicing Ho'oponopono. And Ho'oponopono was allegedly cleaning and clearing energy. So the idea is you say these 4 phrases: I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, in any order. Could be thank you, forgive me, I'm sorry, I love you. Could be forgive me, I'm sorry, I love you, thank you. Doesn't matter. But repeating these phrases over and over and over and over and over and over again clears the energy. Within a 2-year period, all 23 of those prisoners had turned into model citizens and were released. The crazy thing is, Dr. Len never spent 1 second with any of them. He did all of this remotely through the power of belief and the power of this system.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
pretty wild, right?
Yeah,
And
it is.
so I love the message. I love the thought process. I love the belief behind it. And so this now for the last couple of years has been my closing slide in every deck I put together, because it's a beautiful thought and we need
It
more
is.
beauty in the world.
You got it. Yeah. Probably save more marriages if people said this in a marriage more often.
No kidding, right? Because it does. I mean, you think about all
Yep.
4 of those independently are important in individual thoughts, but combining them creates just this power that's
And it's tough.
unmistakable.
It's tough to say all those you know what I mean? It's a
Absolutely.
challenge.
Yeah, any one of them, right? I love you can
Yep.
be
Yep.
tough. That's the
Oh,
easiest one.
yep.
I'm sorry. Good luck getting that. Thank you can be tough for people too. Forgive me. No, I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I only ask one for that. So it's good
Very
stuff.
good. Very good. So let's give, like we kind of do with our guests at times, we ask for like, what's one action step? I mean, there's an action step right there, is to say these words. I mean, that's a great action step right there. But even back to leadership, like if somebody's looking to bring up, they maybe, are in, they have a team of people and they want to be the leader a little bit better. What's your number 1 tip?
My number 1 tip, and we talked about it straight away, right? It's the belief system and it's the confidence piece. You, right now, every one of you are capable of leading, right? You just have to switch the belief, right? So many of us suffer for what people are calling imposter syndrome, or
Yes.
whatever they're changing that phrase to. And when I say so many of us, I want to be really clear. Every single one of us has it, right? It's just a matter of how much do we let it derail us. So, know that walking into it, you're not the only one that's unsure of whether or not you're capable and qualified. We all feel that way. So you just have to know that in this particular instance, whatever that thing you're trying to lead is, you've got the skills, you've got the talent, and you've got the resources to be able to lead whatever it is you're leading. Own it, take it, believe it, it's yours, go get it. So that would be my tip.
Love it. Love it. This is great. This is great information. Well, Terry,
Thank you.
if people want to, if anybody wants to hire you or bring you on board to present this, where is the best place for them to reach you?
Best place to find me is trybean.com, TRYBEAN.com. And then the second base place is always LinkedIn. I seem to spend a lot of time there. So Terry Bean on LinkedIn is pretty easy to find. But email me, call me, send smoke signals. I'm pretty responsive as a rule.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to finish this up. Thank you. And we have a lot of past episodes. We've been recording a lot lately. And we've had this podcast many years, as we talked about. You can find all those past episodes and current episodes on businessgrowthtime.com/blog or businessgrowthtime.com/podcast, either one, whichever you want to put in. Also, we have our Instagram account, which you easily can find based on the graphics, past episodes that you might be interested in. That's just Business Growth Time. Also, we're on all the podcast platforms. And if you liked what you heard, we would love a review on iTunes. iTunes seems to be the place that you want to get the reviews. So we'd love to hear your feedback, because we just talked about getting feedback. We want to hear your feedback. So we would definitely appreciate that too. Thank you so much, Terry.
I went and checked out our iTunes reviews not too long ago. I was impressed. Like, there's a bunch of them. They're all 5-star, and people said really nice things. And I didn't know many of the people, which made it even better, right? It's one thing when your mom says, "Hey, nice job."
Yeah, we love hearing from you guys. So for sure, we'd love to hear if you love the show. Even if there's something that we should change on the show, let us know, because we want to hear it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for letting me have this conversation. Thank you to those of you who watched or listened to the conversation. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon on another episode of Business Growth Time.